May we continue with what we were talking about yesterday morning? I think it is important to remind you, if one may, that this is not an entertainment. This is not a weekend amusement in a nice place. Sorry for the bad weather, but there it is. We're in England. And we're not trying to convince you of any ideology, of any concept, or a series of programmed investigations. But rather that we're all thinking together, if we can, over our problems. Not only human, psychological, psychic problems, but also the problems outside of us, outside in the world, which is so full of dangers, the terrorists, the ideological commitments, the communists and the so-called Democrats, the totalitarians and the dictatorships, and also all the great inventions that are going on in the world. Tremendous inventions, not only to destroy man and destroy the earth, but also great inventions to distort the brain of the human beings. There are the computers, which is an extraordinarily important thing. We have been talking about it to some specialists who are building and who are concerned with the computers in America and so on, and here. Computers probably can do almost anything that human beings can. They think much faster, they calculate much quicker, in seconds, carry 1 million memories in a small chip. And also, what is going to happen to the human brain when the computer, which can do almost anything, will the human brain wither? Please consider all these questions. Will the human brain, our brain, which has striven, struggled, aggressive, competitive, calculating, working endlessly to earn money or to achieve some ideological concepts and pursuits. And the computer can do all this much better than any of us can. Then what will happen to our human brain, which now is so occupied with itself? Will it wither away? Or will it be caught in the vast entertaining world, in the entertaining industry, not only cinema and televisions, or the religious entertainments that are going on in the world in the name of God, which is another form of entertainment? Whether it is done in the temples in India, or in Rome, or in some mosque, it's still entertainment. Or the brain will occupy itself with something much vaster, greater, and deeper. That is, to turn, not selfishly, not self-centered, inward look, but rather turn to something beyond all that which man has accumulated during millennia after millennia. To find something vast, immeasurable, not to be measured by words, by thought, and so on. So we're not only at a crisis in the world psychologically, a crisis in our consciousness, but also there's a crisis going on at the present time in the world. And we were talking about yesterday morning, and we're talking over together. We're talking over our problems. Not mathematical problems, not geographical or other kinds of problems, but human problems. With all our fears, anxieties, sorrows, pain, depressions, long, enduring conflicts. We're talking about those things because it's our life. And we also talked about yesterday wasting our life. We mean by wasting doing things that are practically becoming meaningless, apart from earning a livelihood and so on. And we also talked yesterday morning about time, thought, and security. The brain can only function excellently at its highest capacity and energy when it is completely secure, when it is not living or holding on to some illusions, some concepts, beliefs, faith, some fantastic ideas, or the ideals of Marx and Lenin, and so on, or our own democratic ideals, and holding on to them. We were talking about time and what relationship has time to security. Time being tomorrow, time being the 1,000 tomorrows following each other. Is there security in that tomorrow? Are we following each other? The speaker is asking a question whether there is security in the pursuit of tomorrow, in the pursuit of the future, which is time, right? Please, we're talking things over together. I'm not talking to myself. This is very important to understand if we want to go into ourselves and understand our whole, what we call the psyche, which is our being. And to understand that very deeply, one must go into this question of security. We seek security in the community, in the family, in a commune, or in a particular sect, whether it be the sect of Catholicism or Protestantism and so on, or Hinduism and so on. Is there security in time? Do you understand my question? Is there security in the future? And what is the future? The future is what we are now, what one is now. With all the turmoil, anxiety, depression, violence, self-centered activity, sorrow, affection, and the pain of separation, and the fear of death is what we are now, what one is now. That's our consciousness. That's our psyche. That's our being. And has that, which is the result of vast experiences, knowledge, of all that which we have accumulated during thousands and thousands of years, that's what we are now. The tradition, our conditioning, both linguistically and, which is another matter. We won't go into this question of whether the brain can be conditioned linguistically. Are you interested in all this? Sunday morning? This is not a sermon. If you're really interested in your own life, not in what the speaker is talking about, if one is interested to understand this enormous, complex society in which we live, with all the immorality, with all the corruption, and all the great sorrow that every society brings to every human being. And that society, which we have created, that society is not different from us. We have created it through our greed, through our violence, through our aggression, through our competitiveness. We have made it. And we are caught in that which we have made. So we're fighting society not only externally, trying to adjust to it, and also rejecting it, and withdrawing ourselves from that society. It's all part of this self-centered, projected activity of every human being in the world. Whether he lives in the smallest hamlet, village, or in the great cities of the world. We have made this mess. And we're asking, as what we are now, what is the future of us now? And has the future, that is, tomorrow, and the 1,000 million tomorrows, is there security in that? We hope, and in that hope, we try to find some kind of security. Hope implies the future. So as we were pointing out yesterday morning, we should understand this very seriously, because it may totally bring about a psychic revolution. We may look at the world and ourselves totally differently if we understand the nature of time. Time is not only to cover a distance from one point to another. Time is necessary to learn a skill, to learn a language, to drive a car, to acquire a skill, to build a house, and so on. Time is necessary. But is time, which is movement of becoming, are you interested in all this? Are we together in all this? Or you're getting mesmerized? Please, the person is not important at all. The speaker is not important in any way. But what he says is important. Either we see the truth of it, or the falseness of it, the logic, the sanity, the reason of it. That's what matters. Not the personality cult. The speaker is merely a telephone. And the speaker means it. It's not just a word. So we're trying to understand whether there is security in time. That is, we are the past. There's no question about it. And that past is operating, modifying itself in the present. The present, if there is no fundamental change, not some superficial scratching, but fundamental change, the future is what we are now. So all time, the past, the present, the future is contained in the now. So that if we can really capture the significance of this, then we begin to see the implication of what it means to change. I wish I could discuss this matter with somebody who's following this closely, intimately, not just listening casually. Because this is really very important, because it will completely alter the whole way of looking at life.